In this video, I'm going to share 10 of the easiest things I do every day to live a frugal life. Number 1, spend less. This seems blatantly obvious, but if you're talking about easy things to do to save money and live a frugal life, this has to be on the list. There are several methods to use to spend less, and it really depends on the person. For example, a proven method is to use a time filter for any purchase you're going to make. Let's say you want to buy a new watch on Amazon. Instead of swiping the buy the product immediately, let it sit in your cart for a few days. I'm sure that if it's an item you don't need, you'll forget that you even had it in your cart in the first place. For those who don't have as many issues with spending, then it's just a matter of reducing your spending even more. Spending less is akin to laziness, in the sense that the less you do, the less money you'll spend, and the more money you'll save. And who doesn't want that? Number 2, buy high-quality products. What do you think is easier? Having to replace a product periodically, or buying a good quality product once and not having to replace it for several years and even decades? Most people will pick the second option. A trap that many people fall for when they start frugal living is that they opt to buy cheaper products to save more, but it ends up causing them to spend more money and waste time. Instead, buying a product that costs more but will last several years longer is a way that you can make the most of your purchases while having to do less. An example of this is when I began growing vegetables at home. I needed to buy a grow light, but I didn't want to spend too much initially. I ended up getting one of the cheapest grow lights, but it ended up breaking after a few months and having to be replaced. When the next year came, I ended up buying a higher quality grow light that cost about 3 times as much, but has already lasted me more than 3 times longer, meaning I'm already saving money through that purchase by not having to replace it often. There are plenty of other ways to save money, and if you subscribe to Investors Weekly, you can find out about them. Number 3, use loyalty programs. We're in a time when instant gratification is what drives how we do things. If we have a burning question, we can have an answer in a few seconds through a Google search, where a little over 20 years ago, it was a massive endeavor to the library for books and probably a full day or more of research. So what's my point? We all have access to loyalty programs, and it takes something like 10 to 15 minutes, if not less, to sign up for them. Once that's done, it's an easy reward for simply scanning a card when you're checking out and paying for your items for 15 minutes, plus an extra 10 seconds every time you shop to save something like 1 to 4% on every grocery bill. I think that's an easy way to live frugal. Number 4, cook for 2 nights. Cooking more feels like more work, but it doesn't have to be, depending on what you're making. Look back at all the meals you've made and tell me how often the food exceeded the size of the pot. For example, if you're making a soup, does the contents go to the max line of your pot? It's unlikely. You probably have room to make at least another few portions or another full dinner. Yes, doubling the amount of ingredients you cut may be a little extra work, but if you're not going to be cleaning up more dishes and get a whole meal out of it, saving you a whole day of cooking, then it's totally worth it. There are days when you won't have time to make a meal, and instead of spending money on takeout, all you need to do is reach in your freezer and grab that extra meal. Number 5, make a lazy meal. Here's a challenge. Go through your pantry and see what items you have. It'll probably be a weird array of items that seemingly don't go together. However, there are probably a lot of items that are very easy to cook, are nutritious, and filling, and will help you use up all the contents in your pantry. There are times when I really don't feel like making anything, and in those moments, my go-tos are always things like pastas, rice, bread, or beans, because they're extremely easy and quick to make. For example, if I'm in a rush or simply don't want to put the effort to make food, I'll heat up some canned beans in the microwave or stovetop, make a slice or 2 of toast, and take a few veggies from my fridge. This meal literally takes less than 5 minutes to make and is perfectly nutritious and filling. Do you like this lazy meal idea? If this video gets 300 likes, then I'll make a video on the easiest and laziest meals you can make that'll save you money and make you feel like a professional chef. Number 6, automate your savings and investments. There's nothing easier than automation, and luckily for us, it couldn't be easier to automate almost everything. Most banks offer online solutions, and with those online solutions comes the ability to automate pretty much any transfer of money. For instance, you can automate fixed bill payments so you never forget to pay them on time, or you can automate your savings and investments. Automating your savings and investments is one of the best ways to ensure that you're saving the proper amount of money so that you can retire comfortably and maybe even retire early. The most common way people do this is they time their transfer as soon as they get their paycheck so that they don't forget to do it as the month goes by. Number 7, have date nights at home. You could get dressed up, put makeup on, perfume, and those high heels, or you could have a date night at home where you don't even have to dress up if you don't want to. This can be a unique and fun way to bond with your partner without having to worry about spending insane amounts at a restaurant. For instance, my partner and I like to have date nights on both Friday and Saturday. Friday, we like to have a day where we eat foods like pizza, wings, or burgers, along with some beers. It's always enjoyable and a bit more laid back, but we have a lot of fun. On Saturdays, we like to make it a bit more fancy, and we have things like fondue with broth or a nice steak dinner. Of course, we make all this food ourselves, and it's part of the fun since we create our date night together from step 1. Number 8, have a staycation. Regardless of where you live, there's likely some unheard of amazing place that you can discover. So you don't need to travel across your country or across the world to get a sense of awe and amazement, and lose a lot of money in the process. I'm lucky because the area I live in has tons of beautiful parks and hiking pathways, which are right up our alley for things we like to explore. Just the other day, we discovered an amazing mountain biking trail just about 15 minutes from where we live, and mountain biking is something we've always wanted to do. Mind you, we've been living in this area for close to 3 years. You never know what you'll find, so plan a staycation, discover new things, and save money. Number 9, get an automatic thermostat. Having an automatic thermostat makes saving money on electricity really easy. The ability to have specific settings for specific times and days can help you make sure you're not heating or cooling your house when no one is there, and you can decide how much or how little you want to heat or cool your house. In my house, we have a baseline temperature we like to keep during the winter to rarely turn the heat on, and when we're gone, we set it 2 degrees lower than what we normally have while we're here so the house isn't pointlessly heated. In the summer, since we tend to cook a lot, we only run our AC at night, so we set it to automatically run then. After you watch the last tip, let us know in the comments below what your favorite easy frugal living tip is, even if it's something not on this list. Number 10, buy generic. Buying generic versus brand name is the difference between reaching a little lower, higher, further left, or further right. The change is so small, but it can help save so much money. Sometimes you can find differences of almost 50% just through buying brand names, and from my experience, I usually can't find a difference between brand names and generic brands. In fact, there have been several times that I prefer the generic brand over a brand name. Bonus tip. Your grocery shopping can be really easy this way since generic brands always have the same logo. So all you have to do is keep your eyes peeled for that logo and watch the savings come in.